In my first drstclair prescription short, when giving my nod to Balloon Fight, North and Nashia in the comments said Super Puzzle Fighter 2 would have been what they said. I've always seen but never have played Puzzle Fighter, which is what I'll be calling it for since the full title is a mouthful. Magical Drop 3 is one of my favorite arcade games of all time. And it being on sale for 99 cents in the Capcom Arcade Second Stadium, I would have been a fool not to get it. Not only for the price would I have been a fool, but seeing as I have put 5 hours into the game this month as I write this, I would have been a fool to pass on it. And all of that is single player. I'm still excited to go head to head versus my wife, even though it hasn't happened. The basics of the game are pretty simple. Each player has an 8 square wide field. Each piece is 2 squares. Most of them are gems of 1 of 4 colors: red, blue, green, and yellow. There are special pieces called crash gems. When gems touch a crash gem of a matching color, all touching gems of that color are eliminated. Like other 1v1 puzzle games, when you eliminate pieces, trash is sent to the opponent, called garbage blocks here. The garbage blocks are of the same 4 colors with a countdown from 5. After the block is counted to 0, it turns into a gem of its colors. When gems of one color are placed to make a square or rectangle, they combine to make a giant power gem that sends even more trash when eliminated. It makes for a really addictive experience for puzzle game fans, and even some fighting game fans. The sprite in the thumbnail is of Shenko, who I picked off my first place, but that was after I found out she was low tier. All in all though, the game has been such a hit with me. Glad it is on my radar for how good it is, and I'm still hoping to go one-on-one versus my wife. During the Steam holiday sale, I picked Sparedevil up for a cheap price of under $10. I had played it off and on through January, but it really got on my radar to explore when it dropped the Survivors update. It takes the bullet heaven genre and combines it with a first-person shooter. In 2023, I went through a big phase of loving bowling, to the point where my New Year's resolution for 2024 was to get a 200 score. Life got in the way of that, but maybe one day I'll go back to it. And Sparedevil is that. Make your gun a bowling ball you throw at pins. The pins swarm and attack you, coming in more advanced types the longer you last. Some are cannon pins, some roll along giant wheels, some even have shields. But the Survivors update made it feel more at home. Instead of just an arcade-style shooting game going for high scores, you're trying to last as long as you can. A roguelite first-person shooter is uncommon, but not totally rare, with Mullet Mad Jack a couple years ago and Oddcore this year. Sparedevil is an underrated gem that fans of first-person shooters will want for a short session you should check out. I picked up Bugsnax when it happened to be on sale in February. I received a Bugsnax Christmas postcard when I had purchased something off Fangamer. A nice thing that they do with all their orders is provide a small piece of gaming art from different artists. I had gotten the game because a lot of people had compared it to Pokemon Snap, a game that I have nostalgia for growing up. The important thing that Bugsnax has that makes it unique is the theme. It is all based on what you see from the title, bugs that are made of food, or at least be like IRL food. Strawberries, curly fries, sub sandwiches, and so much more. And when characters consume a Bugsnax, part of their body morphs into what they just ate. While I love the goofiness and the premise of the story, I didn't find myself wanting to go back to it like I did with the other games I'm talking about today. Instead of just taking pictures of the bugs like you would do in Pokemon Snap, a big part of the game is the puzzle of getting the bugs out of hiding so you can catch them, which isn't what I wanted entirely. I was looking for a game that I could shut my brain off and enjoy the humor. Similarly with Young Horse's biggest hit, Octodad, I liked it but didn't love my time with it. I may casually work my way through it and give my final thoughts, but the game just didn't grab me like I had hoped. I returned to Pikuniku to my prescription series, recommending a game to a young gamer. Pikuniku is a goofy platformer that has you playing as what locals call a beast, whose main attack is just kicking stuff. Early on in this playthrough, I was stuck on a situation early in the game with a spider building a bridge that broke out of a web. I thought it would be a simple talk and he builds, but it wasn't that simple. After 5 minutes, I looked it up, and the solution to the game is just give it the boot. When in doubt in the game, just kick. I wanted to talk about the game because when I did my end of the year wind down, the year I streamed it, I mostly talked about the optional multiplayer section. But going back and playing through the whole game, I give it a lot more credit. It is fun, but simple platformer that has such bonkers narrative that fits with the tone of the game. It never tries to be serious with what it is telling you. There are times in critical games that bounce around the story, but in Pikuniku, I never felt that. Probably because it was also only 5 hours. I talked about it in a recent prescription short, but I finally finished Lil Gator Game after streaming it 3 years ago. It was one that fell off the docket when I was newish to streaming and I had the brain to move on to the next thing. To talk about things I didn't cover in my prescription, the story hit me in the feels. The entire game is all about recreating the made-up game the Gator played with his big sister when she was a child. But now she's a student and she really is focusing on her homework. I wanted to give it a quick shout as well because the story tugged at my heartstrings. It really is a must-play for 3D platformer fans, especially if you have siblings or younger kids. I plan to play through the In the Dark DLC before the end of the year. March was a little slow on gaming because I went into a board game convention hosted by the podcast Dads on a Map, and then the following weekend, my wife, my mom, and I went down to Universal Orlando for the weekend. While it was an inhibitor for me to be a PC gaming, I wanted to talk about it here because this was the first time visiting Epic Universe, the newest Universal park. For gamers who happen to like theme parks, you know it is the home of Super Nintendo World in Orlando, which is in its first year all decked out in Mario. It looks exactly like the Mario of my childhood. Nintendo fans will love the details here. I'm curious what it has to come since it is Nintendo World, not Mario World, and there are Zelda aspects hidden in places like the gift shop. This leads into the final game of the quarter, Cookie Clicker. I'm working on the script for my next over-the-counter prescription video and thought an idle game would be the best for what the video may be. I may make a video about idle games in the future, but we'll see. Cookie Clicker has a mobile port, which I ended up playing while we waited in the Universal queues. And in my opinion, the game works so well with the touchscreen. For optimal clicking, you can click on it with all 10 of your fingers simultaneously. Why the game is so fun is for a couple of reasons. For a lot of modern games, it is fun to watch a number go up. Here we see the number of cookies you have baked. You start with just clicking on a cookie, and every time you click, it bakes a cookie. Simple enough so far. But the game isn't just clicking on a cookie. Then you buy buildings and upgrades to your buildings, and then your clicks. The first building you buy are cursors that auto-click for you every 10 seconds. This happens while you aren't playing the game too, which means you sign back into the game and you've baked cookies, even while you sleep. The second thing that makes it so fun is how far it leans into its absurdity. I don't want to spoil some of the funny bits, but for some of the buildings you will be buying, you have grandmas that bake more cookies, farms that grow cookie seeds from cookie plants, and mines that mine out cookie dough and chocolate chips. With the numbers going up, it adds up to absurdity. I'm baking billions of cookies a second on my mobile play, yet I have 16% of the game's 567 achievements. I joke with my wife all the time about clocking into my second job, and she knows I'm playing Cookie Clicker.